Let's get tonight's show on the road and bring in two Studio C. The coach who's led BYU to 3 consecutive conference wins for the first time in the Big 12. Here he is, the first-year bench boss of your BYU Cougars, Kevin Young. Hello, good to see you. Does this happen into every room you walk into, basically?
Far from it. So I appreciate the
rousing welcome. Yeah, good to have you back. And Wednesday night this week. This is the 1 week we're not on Thursday because we have some travel plans this week.
Yep, heading out to Florida. Go out there and play a high-powered offense against UCF, and yeah, it should be good.
Coming off a memorable night at the Marriott Center just last night.
Yeah, man, that place was rocking in there. Great environment as always, but felt like there was some extra juice in the building. Some celebrity sightings in the building too, which was cool and unexpected. But just all around great night. You know, we were able to build on kind of what we were doing prior to that game, and so it was just a good night all around.
So on one side of the courtside seat you had Kalani, and on the other side of the courtside seat you had Conor McGregor. They did take a picture together, but I was wondering who would come out on top if those two wanted to really get after it.
I wouldn't say a bad word about either one of them, so I'll leave that one alone.
That was pretty cool. There were the rumblings that he would be at the game because he was, I think, a Jazz game the night before, and he'd been doing some stuff with a local firm with which he's associated. But he didn't just come. He came and he stayed. You know, sometimes celebs will come, maybe they'll duck out at halftime. He stuck around and got involved with The Rock. Seemed to have a really good time last night.
Yeah, I saw some stuff after last night. People were sending me. Looked like he was enjoying all the things. It's cool, man. Really cool.
Very cool to expose someone like that to American college basketball and to do it at a high level. And that was a high-level vibe last night with two really good teams. I thought the matchup was really good coming in. There were a lot of similarities, metrics-wise and such. And you guys put on a heck of a show. Great game.
Yeah, high-level stuff going on all around. You know, obviously a really well-coached team, storied program. I thought there was just big play after big play. You know, every time we felt like we were getting comfortable or make a run, they'd hit a big three. Answered literally every time. It felt like that. And then just I think the star power, you know, the young star power for both teams was on full display in front of a lot of, you know, people from the NBA there to see it. So I think everyone kind of got what they, you know, wanted relative to that. And then just happy that we were able to, you know, be on the other side of a close game like that. On
that note, you've had a lot of NBA people at pretty much every game you've played this year. How much awareness is there from the guys, and is it ever a threat of being a distraction, knowing that there are so many eyes focused on performers that are part of a team?
I think at this point it's normalized, you know. I mean, we've had, you know, so many scouts at practice. I mean, you've been there, scouts, GMs, presidents. You know, a lot of them I know. I've grown up with them in the league, and so I think our guys kind of understand it's just part of what this place is now. And then last night, obviously playing against, you know, they have some young studs of their own, and so it was a good night for NBA people to come see the matchup. 17,000 plus in the stands, and BYU sits there in the top 10 nationally, 7th. There's 360 programs playing basketball, and BYU's number 7 in average attendance. You never want to take it for granted, but that's a really impressive number BYU turns out night in, night out. Yeah, I mean it's incredible, you know, and I don't. I mean the sheer number of fans is impressive, no question, but just the production is second to none. I mean, I've been in Madison Square Garden, I've been in the Staples Center.
You're talking game night environment.
Yeah, I mean, just the production crew over there, like it's just electric, man. They do an amazing job, and then obviously the fans feed off of that, and the players feed off of that, and it just makes for a fun atmosphere. Well, it's as good a show as there is, and it looks good, it sounds good, and it actually has a tactical or a game impact. I mean, it helps you win games. It does. I think it fuels the guys. I mean, one of our assistant coaches was talking about it today. Just you know, when you play or coach or play in a area where people actually understand the game, you know, like you play in. Hope no one's a Lakers fan, but you play in LA. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't quite. They're just kind of like bumps on a log. You get in like basketball cities though, and like it's a big moment. The fans are getting charged up. You know, what happened in our game last night, and I do think it makes a big difference for the players.
How fun is it, by the way, to be scoreboard watching and in the mix for standings, battles in a really good basketball league right now?
Yeah, I mean, this league is fun, man. I think we said it last night on the radio, but you know, I was watching the Arizona-Iowa State game, and a Big 12 promo came on the commercial, and it was like there was a soundbite that just said, like, every game in the Big 12 feels like an NCAA tournament game, and so it does, and that's what makes it fun. It makes it really competitive, and you know, to be in the mix of all of it is you know, right where we want to be.
Let's get to Baylor. Coming off that weekend win over Cincinnati to make it back-to-back Big 12 wins, BYU was home to Baylor last night, looking to go back-to-back-to-back against the Bears. Let's look back now at stats and highlights presented by Intermountain Health, official medical provider of BYU Athletics. And we will shine the spotlight on top player performances to kick things off. And we start with Kanon Catchings, and why would we not? Career high 23 points. He sets a BYU freshman record for most points scored on a perfect shooting night. 4 for 4 on his twos, 4 for 4 on his threes, and 3 for 3 on his free throws. And his point total, coach, has gone up in 5 straight games now.
Yeah, it was great to see. You know, he's a young guy, you know, and he hit a little rocky patch there, and just really proud of the way that he, you know, kind of worked through that, you know, and it was work. You know, he's done a lot with John Linehan, one of our assistant coaches, and Kyle Sturdivant, one of our grad assistants. Have really, the three of them have really put in a lot of time together. You know, Craig Manning's done a lot. So there's a lot of people that are helping Kanon. You know,
and Craig's your mental strength guy.
Sorry, yep. Craig's our mental strength coach. You know, so he's been putting in the work, and you know, happy to see the fruits of those labors, and it's been cool because his teammates have really rallied around him as well, and everybody was really happy for him last night.
Among the celebrities in the building last night, he has a pretty famous relative as well that was watching him last night.
Yeah, so his aunt Tamika is one of the all-time. There she is right there. One of the all-time great WNBA players. She was at practice the day before. His mom was also there. Yeah, his grandpa played in the NBA, so he comes from a basketball family and is very well supported.
He had a play that we may have seen it in the clip there. I can't remember, but his reverse lay-in. I'm not sure how long he was in the air on that, but that was an exceptional play.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, he's got, there it is right there. I mean, he's got so much talent and so much ability. You know, we see bits of it. You know, at practice. So for him to put it all together in a game, it was really good, and hopefully it's a confidence builder for him, and something he can move forward with.
I almost wanted to make a Dr. J reference there on the play, but you know, he did an exceptional play there.
Yeah, no, that was remarkable, and he's so gifted, and at his size to be able to do the things he does. I mean, that's why a lot of those NBA people were there, and I'm sure excited about what they saw. Let's
talk about Richie Saunders. 6th consecutive game for Rich in double-figure scoring. And until a couple of weeks ago, he hadn't even had as many as 3 straight games in double-figure scoring. Now you expect it from him every night. He's top 5 in this league in conference play in scoring, in field goal percentage, in three-point percentage. Still tops in conference play, number 1 in three-point field goals made per game. Led the team in rebounds last night. Maybe not his best shooting night, but because of everything else he was doing, Coach, it was still a very efficient, effective night for him.
I mean, the thing I loved about his performance last night was, you know, it wasn't going his way in terms of the ball going in the basket, but you know, he made, you know, 3 huge plays down the stretch. That and one that they just showed, I lost my mind on.
Yes.
And then the floater, and I think he made another play. But just, you know, we've needed somebody to step up in those moments that can make those critical plays for us. He was there. Dallin made a couple as well. But, you know, Richie's been rock solid for us all year. And he's a guy that's, I think, gained the respect of the league, gained the respect of just a lot of people that are watching him play.
It's tough to be all league in the Big 12, but he's having that kind of season right now.
He is, yeah. And I think when teams scout us, you know, I know you know, Egor and Kanon, they get some of the headlines with all the NBA stuff. You know, Richie's been our most consistent guy. You know, he's been rock solid, and you know, we've talked about this before, but you know, he's got a big NBA future ahead of him as well. And
I'm sure it's one of the plays you're thinking about too, but he makes a bucket and then sneaks in for the steal on the inbounds that turns into a 3 from Egor. It's a little 5-point burst. This might be, yeah, right, yeah. He sneaks in and finds Egor for the 3 here.
Yeah, I mean, he just never quits. You know, he's got, that was a big time play by Egor, but Yeah, Richie just, he just never stops. The motor just continues to run, and, our guys feed off that.
Let's run it down the roster. You mentioned Egor. 15 points for a second consecutive game for the Russian freshman. 10 of his last 12 free throws as well. He's had 6 or more assists in 4 of his last 5 games. He is second in the conference in Big 12 play in assists per game. He's 6th in assists to turnover. He's made 3s now in 4 of his last 5 games, and the three-point shot wasn't falling for a while. Now that's coming around for him.
Yeah. At this point, you expect the assist. That's naturally what he does. I like the way he's been attacking, though. Being able to get downhill, get to the rim. When he takes good threes, I think they're going in. Then be able to step up to the line and knock his free throws down. So he's put a lot of work in, just with his mechanics, trying to get back to the basics of his form and his form shooting and stuff like that. And he's another guy who, hadn't shot it well, but confidence was not waned and was continuing to work, and happy that he's been able to sort of turn that corner a little bit.
He was our post-game radio guest last night. A great line on the radio. He said, "I'm selfish about my assists, but it's okay to be selfish about assists because assists are sharing."
He's got some good one-liners. But no, man, he's a joy to play with, joy to coach, and a lot of some of those threes Kanon hit were on the other side of those passes that Egor was making.
Trevin Knell last night, 11 points, 3 rebounds, an assist, a couple steals. 6th consecutive start for Trev. Double-figure scoring in 3 of his last 5. His 3-point field goal streak, and he has a lot of them, by the way, are at 60 games and counting. That was kind of a fun way to start overtime, by the way, was on the tap. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't. We talk a lot about just trying to be the first team ready in any environment. We talk about jump balls. In overtime games, that jump ball play is huge. So the fact we were able to get a little steal there and get to a bucket was big. And I thought him starting the game out, burying that 3 on the first play of the game, kind of set the tone. But yeah, man, he's been really good for us. Yeah,
in overtime, you get the first and the last possession of OT. Dawson Baker, 8 points, but including the game-clinching free throws last night. He was 4 for 4 at the free throw line, made those 2 that sealed the deal. 2 massive free throws. Again, people say, oh, free throw. There's a lot of pressure, and to step up when he did was huge. He's averaging just under 10 points a game in his last 5. He's the mid-range master. Love the way Dawson's playing right now.
Yeah, I think he's really thriving in his role, in an unselfish way. He's a guy that could very easily, be playing a lot more minutes than he is, but he's accepted his role. He's come in and given us a really nice scoring punch. I thought he made some really timely baskets in that game and the game before that. And then him and I joke actually about the free throw thing, because I don't know if anybody was there at the Marriott Madness or whatever we were calling that. That's what we called it earlier in the year?
The Mayhem thing? Or
yeah,
no, I think you're right.
Where we had whatever, we introduced the team or whatever. So I put him on the spot in front of everybody that was there. We were doing our little offensive rebound kick out thing, and I was explaining it to the group, and he didn't know I was going to do it. And like 2 seconds before, I was like, hey, can you make the shot? He's like, what? Yeah, sure. Comes out, bangs a 3. So ever since then, I'm like, Dawson, I got no worries about you in pressure situations, and he stepped up last night. And
Total trust in Dawson Baker.
Yeah.
I love it. Dallin Hall last night played 26-plus minutes against Baylor. He goes 7 points, 2 assists, and a steal. He hits that 3 early in overtime to give you a 5-point lead. He has multiple assists now in 6 straight. And over his last 4 games, Coach, only 5 turnovers.
I thought he was huge last night. He's a guy, they were switching a lot, and he's a guy that can really punish the switches. That 3 we just saw, and then some of those drives where we were able to get a mismatch and him drive to the basket. So super proud of him as well in terms of just handling the role that he's been asked to play this year. Been really mature about how he's attacked that and made some massive plays last night to help us get that win.
Your opponents have to deal with Egor, and then you bring in another point guard that's one of the most experienced guys in the league already as a reserve point. It's a nice luxury to have.
It is a luxury to have, and just trying to wind Dallin up, man, to be aggressive. He's had to adjust, from what he's done in the past, but still trying to keep him super aggressive as a scorer, as just a threat where they have to really worry about him. And he's capable of doing it, and made some, like I said, some really timely plays last night.
I want to shout out Foose a little bit. Fousseyni Traore, 7-5 last night in 16 minutes. He's second to Keba on the roster in rebounds per 40 right now. He's the Cougars' field goal percentage leader on the year, and in a BYU career. And after last night, he's now top 30 all-time in scoring, and he passed our good friend Nate Austin for 13th on the career rebounding list last night.
I got to rub that in Nate's face tomorrow when I see him for sure. Now, Foose is rock solid, man. You feel like he's going to score every time he gets it down there. So the times that he does miss, leaves you a little frustrated because you just expect so much of him and he expects so much of himself. But, he's been really good. I like the 1-2 punch of him and Kaba. They're different. They provide different things, and I think they complement each other well.
Okay, to our final stat slate now, and I know that Coach Voigt's probably thinking that 50% field goal from Baylor is too high, but that said, this was a gunslinger game. It ends up, in the 80s and 90s with some overtime, and usually, I shared this with you last night, but if Baylor shoots 50 or better, that's going to be a win for them. So to win that kind of game, you have to play exceptional basketball.
Yeah, I think you told me that they've won 65 straight when they've shot over 50, and so that's incredible. But yeah, I think it speaks to our offense for sure. But honestly, you have to give them credit. I thought Mawut did a phenomenal job on Edgecombe, and he ends up with 28 points, And, we all want to play good defense, but good offense beats good defense. It just does. And so those young men, for them, were able to make plays. But, we were, for us to shoot 55%, I thought our offense, really in the first half got really going. We kind of got in mud a little bit in the second half, but we found ways to, make enough plays. 3
straight league games, though, shooting in the 50s, that's hard to do.
It is hard to do. I think it speaks to our unselfishness, not just moving the ball, but like running the floor. Like the layup Trevin had on the far end in the first half, that's it. That's what Kanon sprints to the corner. They're so worried about him getting a 3 off, and Trev just walks in for a layup. So, a lot of the stuff that our guys are doing necessarily doesn't show up in the individual stat line for them. But when you look at, I think we're leading the league in effective field goal percentage. That takes a group effort to get that done.
Yeah, effective and 2s and 3s, all first place. And I know that 45-7 bench number was big for you too, as well.
It was, yeah, it was. And it can be a blessing and a curse to have so many good players on one team in terms of guys that can come and actually produce. But I think our guys have accepted their roles. These guys want to win, and people are buying in to get that done.
Okay, some specialized stats now. BYU defensive rebounding percentage. Baylor's a really good offensive rebounding team, so defensive rebound at 59 is not bad at all. Offensive rebound percentage, better than Baylor had been allowing. You get to the line 26 times, more than Baylor had been allowing. Baylor shot 24 free throws, a little more than they had been taking, so kind of a wash there. And then your assist rate wasn't as high as maybe you'd like it to be, but there were other things you were doing that kind of mitigated that or helped that.
Yeah, there was. That's to get basically 40% of your misses back. That's a huge number. So you shoot a high clip, and then the ones you do miss, you're getting almost half of them back. So that's, pretty good math, pretty good odds there. I thought, we were able to get to the free throw line and capitalize, which has really hurt us in some of the other close games. And that was a big part of that win.
Okay, let's check out the BYU team sheet and compare it from last week to this week. And BYU moving up in all the main metrics, up a good deal in net. KenPom, the BPI, and the KPI. KPI sees a huge jump because that's kind of a resume measurement, and Baylor's as good a resume win as you've had this year.
Yep, no, we needed one against a quality opponent, and they obviously are that. And it was a good thing for us to build on. They've been a storied program, obviously, so good win at home, and hopefully we can take it on the road now and go get the next one.
Quad 1 win as well. You're in a stretch of 5 straight Quad 1 opportunities, and that was the first one, and you got that one taken care of.
We did, and we know we need to keep kind of pounding the rock on that front, where we got to knock off some good teams to put ourselves in a position to do what we ultimately want to do.
Okay, BYU currently a top-tier team in the Big 12 and looking to push even higher into the top half. Let's take a look at league standings with February just around the corner. There are 3 more games tonight, so all the teams you see that have 8 games played, they're all playing their 9th game tonight right now. But there you see BYU in 6th for the moment, a tie for 6th, and the top 8 teams don't have to play on the first day in Kansas City. We'll talk more about KC here in this next month as we get into the back half. But how do you like where you're situated right now, Coach?
We're in a good spot. It kind of grinds the gears a little bit when you see that, thinking about the one possession games that didn't go our way. But I think those games have helped us. I think they've helped us, find ways to kind of just dig in. I think they'll help us even more as we kind of move through this thing. But, we just want to focus on the next game and just try to keep sort of moving up those standings one game at a time.
And the next game is this weekend in Orlando. BYU will hit the halfway mark in its conference campaign. Let's check out the conference schedule. Most of the rest of the way in the Big 12. The one game you don't see is the regular season finale, home to Utah, and that'll be on March 8th. But this takes care of the bulk of the rest of the Big 12 campaign. And you see, Coach, you're in a stretch right now where 3 of your next 4 will be on the road.
Yep, that's an important stretch for us. Obviously playing on the road anywhere is hard. There's some really quality teams on that schedule on the road. I mean, UCF in particular, because that's the next one. I mean, they're as potent as an offensive team that's probably in the country. I mean, they got some guys who can really put the ball in the basket. They shoot a lot of threes. They play really fast, and so it'll be whoever decides to play defense first type of game probably gets the win.
I was watching the first probably 10 to 12 minutes of the KU UCF game again today. Most of the first half I watched, and it was like a 3-point contest in the first half, just back and forth, and everyone banging threes last night. Yeah,
and I mean, I welcome that. I mean, I'd put our group up in a 3-point contest with any team in the country. So, our defense will be really important in that game. Like it is every night, but particularly against a high-powered offense.
Should be a fun one in Orlando Saturday afternoon. Time for our first break, and this reminder that your day-to-day Cougar sports play-by-play happens on BYU Sports Nation. Join Spencer Linton and Jerem Jordan weekdays, noon Eastern, BYUtv, and of course BYU Radio. When we come back, a very, very special guest joining us in Studio C as BYU basketball with Kevin Young continues. Stay with us.